Okay, good evening, Rabbi. Tonight we're going to discuss a special situation that we have this year, which is that we have the holiday Pesach coming up in about 3 weeks or so. So the interesting thing is that we have a situation where Pesach falls on the day after Shabbat. So Erev Pesach, the Eve of Pesach, comes out on Shabbat. And this actually does like a very big change for the whole Pesach situation. I'll explain to you why that is. So what you have is, in the diaspora, you have 3 days now. You have Shabbat, and then 2 days of Pesach coming in. After that, 2 days of Yom Tov, Kaidre. So 3 days altogether, one after the other. So why does this actually occurs quite often, in outside of Israel. You have 3 days, Shabbat, and 2 days of Yom Tov, Kaidre. It happens quite often, but here it's something even more unique. Why? Why so? Because what happens is that we have the issue of chametz. Like, you're eating the matzot, right? Which is almost a year old, by the way.
I felt faint. My stomach was empty.
Okay, I got it. No, it's okay. That doesn't rot. Yeah. So anyway, why do I tell you this? Because what happens is that on the Eve of Pesach, the day before, we have to destroy the chametz. How do we usually destroy it, right? The truth is that there's several ways to do it. In the Talmud, you have like over there 4 or 5 ways you can destroy the chametz. One of them is burning, and that's really the custom. The custom is to burn the chametz. Whatever's left over, whatever you're not selling, whatever it is, all that stuff. The custom is to burn it. Not that it's an obligation, by the way. It's a custom. If you can do it, nice to do it. If not, do it some other way. But the point is that on this year on Erev Pesach, it's going to be Shabbat, so you can't burn the chametz. You know what I mean? You can't start a fire on Shabbat. How are you going to burn it? Right? So then, what do you do? How do you get rid of the chametz? That's the question, right? That's one of the questions that comes up. There's also many other questions that come up because it's like a chain reaction. One after the other, domino effect. This question leads to another question, and another question leads to the other question, and so forth and so on. Right? There's no end to it. So I'll explain to you how that goes, right? That first of all, a person is supposed, as we said, we're supposed to destroy the chametz on Erev Pesach. But what happens is that now, since Erev Pesach is Shabbat, as we said, we cannot burn it, as we just mentioned. So then, how do you get rid of it? And the other question is, how long can you keep it? Because on Shabbat, what are you going to be eating? It's not Pesach yet. Are you going to be eating bread, or are you going to be eating matzah? What are you going to be eating on Shabbat? That's also another question which we have to deal with, right? So all these things have very intricate ways of dealing with these issues. I'll tell you how that works. Generally, right, the rule is like this. As a general, every year, what we do is that the day before Pesach, the Eve of Pesach, we get rid of the chametz. You have to get rid of it in the morning, right? Usually the last time that you can eat chametz on Eve of Pesach is around 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 a.m. Once 10 a.m. passes, right, then what happens is that you got to now destroy the chametz. You have another hour to destroy it. Once that hour is up, you cannot have it anymore. Not in your house, not your possession, not anywhere. That's the way it works. But the problem is that this year falls on Shabbat. So usually what we do is that we destroy the chametz in the morning, as we said. But now we can't do that. There's also another thing, which is that the night before, the Eve of Passover, what we're supposed to do is check for the chametz, do bedikat chametz. Go around with a candle, looking for the chametz in every room. What's here? What's over there? Blah blah blah. But this year we can't do that because it comes out on Shabbat. We're not going to be checking for chametz on Shabbat. We're too busy doing other things on Shabbat, right? That's not what we should be doing on Shabbat. So therefore, we're going to move it up one day, and we're going to do it Thursday night instead of doing it Friday night, which is already Shabbat. So we do this year is going to do Thursday night. So everything gets moved up. That's the first thing, right? That we have to deal with. The bedikat chametz gets moved up. You have to check the night before Thursday night. Also, there's another thing which gets moved up. Tanit bechorot, that the firstborn are supposed to fast on the Eve of Pesach. Right? Are you firstborn, by the way?
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
So that includes you also. Right? So that fast usually comes on Erev Pesach, which would mean that it would fall on Shabbat, this year.
Yes.
On Shabbat we cannot fast. We have to eat on Shabbat, right? We're commanded to have the seudot. So therefore, obviously, we're not going to fast on Shabbat. Especially since this is just a minhag, it's just a custom to fast on Erev Pesach. So then, what do? So therefore, says the Maharil that we should also move up the fast as well to Thursday instead of doing it on Shabbat. Obviously, we can't do it on Shabbat, and since we're moving it from Shabbat, then not a good idea to do it on Friday. What's the reason why not a good idea to do it on Friday? Because on Friday, you don't want to be fasting, ideally speaking. What's the reason why? Because you're coming into Shabbat hungry. That's not a very good thing to do. You're starving coming into Shabbat until you get home and get a chance to eat your meal. You're going to be fasting for about a half hour or so. So you don't want to do that. So therefore, since we're moving it, might as well move it to Thursday. So therefore, both things get pushed up to Thursday. The fast of the Bechorot, Tanit Bechorot, that's number one. Number two, also, as we said, the B'dikah of the Chametz gets also pushed up to Thursday night instead of doing it Friday night, which will be Leil Shabbat. That's one thing, right, that we have to do. Now, the other thing is like this. When does Chametz become forbidden to eat on Friday, on Shabbat? About 10 o'clock in the morning. Something like that. A few minutes after 10 in this area that we live, New York City area, Tri-State area, whatever you call it, right? A few minutes after 10 o'clock, you cannot eat Chametz anymore. So now the question is like this. So what do you do? But it's Shabbat, on Shabbat, how do you get rid of Chametz? You cannot burn it, as we said. So what do we really do, Ben Met? What's the way to do it? You know what most people do, right? I hate to break the news to you, but the way we do it is we flush it down the toilet. Excuse my language, We flush it down. That's what we do. So we take all the chametz, but you got to make it into small pieces. Otherwise, you're going to get clogged over there.
I don't see what's wrong with it. Food gets flushed down the toilet either way. Right?
Right, but not fresh food,
No, but
Right. No, right. Yeah. So that's the way it is, So you gotta break up small pieces of chametz, break them up, so they shouldn't clog you there, like a clog. Otherwise, you're gonna have to put some those things in there, right? So you gotta break it up, flush it down, and you gotta do this all before 11 o'clock in the morning.
is that what you're gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like everybody else, no difference, just a regular guy like everybody else, right? So
No, I would think that you would do the burning.
right, but on Shabbat you cannot burn.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what do? So you gotta flush it down. That's the only thing to do, right? So that's if assuming that you're gonna keep the chametz until Shabbat. We're gonna explain to you how that works exactly, because some people don't even do that. They do something even more like a safeguard in order to avoid any issues. So the problem is? The problem is like this, that when you go to synagogue on Shabbat, when you go to shul, most shuls over here in this area get out between 11 and 1 o'clock on Shabbat, very late. Not like Israel. In Israel, they get out much earlier, Baruch Hashem. They're more industrious over there, more zealous. And over here, they're lazy, they get up late, they pray late, everything is late, lazy daisy. So what happens is that they're very late. So the problem is like this: if you're going to be finishing shul by 11 o'clock or until 1, so by the time you get home, already it's not allowed to eat chametz anymore. So what are you going to do with the chametz? You can't eat it anymore. So then what did you gain by having it on Shabbat? Okay, at least you had it on Leil Shabbat, you had it Friday night, that's good. Baruch Hashem. But in the morning, you may not be able to get a chance. So therefore, a person who really wants to eat chametz in the morning on Shabbat, the only way to do it is to eat early, before 10 o'clock. How do you do that? Very easily. You have to go to a netz minyan, you have to go to a sunrise minyan, or hashkama minyan, early minyan. Starts at 6:30, 6 o'clock, whatever it is, right? Something like that. Or 5:30, whatever it is, right? They start very early. By 8 o'clock, you're out the door. You go home, you eat, let's say 8:39, you start, 8:30, whatever, you eat. And by 10 o'clock, you're done. Very, very fast. Not much singing, not much divrei Torah, you have to go very, very, very quickly. So what happens is that you got to be done by 10 o'clock, say Birkat Hamazon, and then, start, after you do that, start breaking up your chametz and flushing. That's what you got to do, right? That's the next step. So that's the way to do it. You have 1 more hour. So what does that mean? You have till like 11 o'clock to flush it down. The precise time you can see on the calendars, by the way. I'm just giving you an approximate time. 10 o'clock is the eating time. 11 o'clock is the time to get rid of it. More or less, right? That's the idea. In this area. But there are other areas that have different issues. They have a different horizon over there, different calculation. So anyway, that's the way it works. So then how do you work this out? As we said, right, we're checking for the chametz on Thursday night. So after you check for it, how do you keep it for Shabbat? You already checked. You know? So the answer is that you check, and then you do nullification. You do bitul. Kol chamira de kabir shuti. You do like you say all the bitul and then nullification, and then you save like in one place all your chametz in one drawer, let's say, right, one kabi, so it doesn't get scattered. You know, because if it gets scattered, you may lose track of where things are. So you got to make sure you keep everything in one drawer, one cubby, one closet, whatever it is, right? Everything is there. You take it out and you eat it, you know, and make sure that nothing gets lost. You got to keep track of everything. So then, by the morning on Shabbat, you really shouldn't have that much left because you shouldn't buy overly, you know, just enough to get by. And by the way, you know, some people say it's a good idea for that Shabbat, even if you usually eat like chalot, you know, you like chalot. Those thick ones, you know, the sweet ones, whatever. But this Shabbat, don't go for that. Go for pitot. Buy pitot. Why? Because pitot they don't scatter. They don't crumble. You know, so you're not going to get crumbs on the floor too much with pitot. So pitot is a good idea for this year, right? Not obligation. You can also get regular chalot. But the point is, right, that you got to make sure you're watching where everything is. Keep track. You know, you can't lose stuff. The truth is, you know, it says in halakha that if you have like a loaf of bread, and you already checked, you know, everything, all the chametz in the house, you checked, and you lost that loaf got lost, you know, you got to check the whole house again, because it may be anywhere. You know, God knows where it is, right? So you got to make sure everything is accounted for when you do that, right? So as you see, right, that there's a lot of limitations how to do this whole process. You got to pray early. You got to get up early. You know, everything has to be done early. You got to get rid of it early. So a lot of people find this a little bit too challenging. You know, a little bit too nerve-wracking. You can understand why, right? You know what it is? Because people are sloppy. You know, a lot of people are sloppy. Like they're not so particular. They're not so, you know, medakdek. They're not so, you know, exacting with everything. So what happens is that they're afraid, especially the women, by the way, you know, the ladies, a lot of the religious ladies, you know, they don't want chametz in their house like that, in this manner, you know. They want everything already out by that time, because they're afraid, you know, it's going to get scattered, it's going to get lost, it's going to get this. The children are going to take it and move it to a different room, blah blah blah, all kinds of things. So because of that, you know, a lot of people, what they opt for, of all these concerns, is they just get rid of the chametz on Friday, you know. They burn everything, and then they come into Shabbat, which is not Pesach yet, right? They come into Shabbat with no chametz whatsoever. So what's the advantage of that? The advantage is that you don't have to watch out now, right? Make sure everything is accounted for, nothing got lost, blah blah blah. You know, everything is safe. But unfortunately, what happens is that when you do this method, there are several things that you also lose. So what is it that you lose? Number one, you lose your pleasure. What does that mean? Instead of eating bread, you have to eat matzah, you know, which is not as pleasurable. Let's face it, you know, I mean, bread is more delicious than matzah. For most people, you know, I guess, whatever, some people like matzah. But then, you know, on Shabbat, the person usually prefers to have bread. Challah, you know, something, nice challah. You know, something like that, right? Nice Bukharian bread, you know, Georgian bread, whatever. Right? They want to have something nice and crispy, good bread. So eating matzah is not really so pleasurable like that. So what happens is that it's not really Pesach yet, but you're losing that pleasure of eating bread on Shabbat, which is not good. Why? Because you're supposed to have oneg Shabbat. You're supposed to have pleasure on Shabbat. You're supposed to enjoy Shabbat. So the joy of the Shabbat is going down the tubes, right? Not down the toilet. Right? Right? So that's the problem. So that's one disadvantage. So it's kind of like a cop-out, this method. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, let's be safe, you know. But you're being a little bit too safe, you know, because you're losing also here or something. You're being a little bit too cautious, overly cautious. For some people, it works well, by the way, because they have a big family, they have all kinds of considerations. This is not practical for them to go in with chametz on Shabbat in Erev Pesach. You know, they're too scared of that. It's also, as we said, right, because they pray late, so they're not going to have time in the morning to eat anyway the chametz. So it doesn't really help them, so much. They can still have it at night, but nevertheless. So what they do is like this, right? As we said, instead of eating chalot on Pesach, these people, they eat matzot. Okay, we already mentioned the fact that it's not so pleasurable to eat matzot, like bread. But there's also another problem. You know what it is? The problem is that you're not allowed to have matzot on Erev Pesach. On the eve of Pesach, that day, you're not allowed to have matzot. What's the reason why you're not allowed to have matzot? Because when you eat matzot on the night of Pesach, when the mitzvah is to eat a kazait, one olive size of matzah, it's supposed to be delicious to you, something new, something very, very desirable. So if you already had it that day in the morning, it's not so desirable anymore. You already got used to it. So therefore the sages said, on Erev Pesach, on eve of Pesach, don't eat matzah. So you're not allowed to have bread after the 4th hour, as we said, 10 o'clock. And also you're not allowed to have matzah either, because of this custom that we mentioned. The sages made a ruling like that. They made a decree like that. So now, how does that work out? Because on Shabbat I have to have some bread. The seudot, I have to do the meals with bread. So either I have to have bread or I have to have matzah, one or the other. But I can't have matzah. Why? Because it's Erev Pesach. It's Eve of Pesach. So then what do? How do I work that out, right? So the truth is that there are two solutions to this, brought down, the poskim, in the authorities. How to do this, right? Shulchan Aruch, it says like this. Okay, fine. You cannot have matzah, that's true. So what should you do? Use matzah ashira. What is matzah ashira? That means it's rich matzah, right? This is what you're eating, that's poor matzah. There's also rich matzah, What's the difference between this and that? The poor matzah is made only with water, right? So it's like no taste, It doesn't have much of a taste. Very plain, very ordinary. Plain Jane. But the matzah ashira is made with fruit juice or with eggs or all kind of stuff. It's kneaded with flavors.
I heard there's another matzah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
We make it out of Christian children's blood.
Okay.
You ever hear that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one.
Is it true? I hope not.
Okay. Okay. So you got me there. I wasn't expecting that one.
I heard it.
Okay. So anyway, the story goes like this, right? That as we said, that you cannot have matzah. So then, what do? How do you eat the seudot on Shabbat if you're not having chametz? So what's the answer? First of all, at night there's no problem. Why? Because at night you're allowed to have matzah. The night before, on Friday night. Just in the morning you cannot have. All day of Eve of Pesach you're not allowed to have any matzah. So as we said, you do matzah shira. What's matzah shira? As we said, it's made from fruit juice or wine or eggs or some kind of thing like that. Not water. It's not kneaded with water. So what difference does it make, by the way, what it's kneaded with? The difference is like this, that matzah, the white one, is like a very plain Jane taste, So it's called lechem oni, bread of poverty, So that's exactly the mitzvah to eat on Pesach, that kind of matzah. But the matzah shira, it's kind of like sweet, it's kind of like softer a little bit, more tender, So it's more like tolerable. So it's like more like rich, Rich people, they don't need their bread with water. They need their bread with fruit juice and all kinds of things to give a nice taste to their, to their challah, sweet breads, all kinds of stuff. This is the custom of the rich people. So since that matzah shira, the rich matzah, doesn't have the same taste as this one, the lechem oni, so therefore you're allowed to have it, because even if you ate that in the morning, you're not going to have the same taste when you eat at night. This one, it's a different taste. So this is the reason why you're allowed to have that. So therefore, says Shulchan Aruch, what should a person do? Should have matzah ashira. Use that instead. Instead of using regular matzah, use the fruit juice matzah or the egg matzah, whatever they call it, right? There's different types, all kinds of different types. So, but here also we get into a little bit of a problem. We get into a little bit of a discussion. What's the discussion over here? The discussion is that according to Maran Ovadia Rav Shalom, the rabbi, he held that matzah shira, the sweet matzah, that fruit juice, the bracha on that, the blessing on that is not hamotzi. It's not hamotzi like bread. The bread will make hamotzi lechem min haaretz. You know, the blessing for this, for the sweet matzah that we're talking about, matzah shira, according to Maran Ovadia, he holds they should make borei minei mezonot. Why? It's like cake, because it's sweet. It's made with fruit juice or eggs or whatever it is. It's not really like regular bread. It's not white bread. It's flavored bread. So therefore, according to him, it's mezonot. The truth is, but there's a chidah. Maran Chidah, he writes that not like that. He says the chidah that if you use for the meals on Shabbat matzah shira, the sweet matzah, the fruit juice matzah, what should you make on that? He says you should make hamotzi lechem min haaretz, not like Maran Ovadia. So what's the reason why they have this discussion, argument between them, machloket? The reason is because there's a whole discussion about, in general, what should a person bless for sweet bread, for sweet challah. According to Sephardi custom, for sweet challah we bless mezonot. Why? Because it's not the way to eat meals with sweet challah. It's just a snack, you know. But according to the Ashkenazi custom, the custom is to say make hamotzi. Why? Because in their countries, in Europe, they used to eat sweet bread also with meals as well. Different custom, you know, different strokes for different folks. So it says Maran Ovadia that since the custom of the Sephardim is to make on cake mezonot, on things like the sweet stuff mezonot, so therefore also matzah shira, the rich matzah, is also mezonot. So what do I really care which one it is? The reason I care is because for the meals of Shabbat, I'm not supposed to be making mezonot. I'm supposed to be making hamotzi. I'm supposed to be washing my hands, you know, netilat yadayim, and make hamotzi lechem min haaretz. That's the way to do the seudot of Shabbat. The seudot of Shabbat require bread. And this, according to him, it's not bread. This is like cake. So this is the reason why there's a little bit of a question mark there as well. So what's the halacha, Ben? The truth is that I personally, you know, in this case, I do like the chidah. I always, you know, make on like sweet challah or sweet bread, which is like, you know, still has a texture of bread. Doesn't have a texture of cake. I make hamotzi on that, like the chidah writes. The chidah also writes something else, right? That even though in general, the chidah writes that it's a doubt whether sweet cake or bread should be mezonot or hamotzi, and the custom is to make a mezonot, but it says on Shabbat, because on Shabbat you're supposed to have seudot, that's already something else. So therefore it says the chidah, you're supposed to have on that, you're supposed to make hamotzi. Why? Because on Shabbat becomes a meal anyway. Even if you're having cake, it's a meal. So therefore he says that matzah shira on Shabbat, which falls on either Pesach, Erev Pesach, the blessing is going to be hamotzi according to the chidah. Right? And that's the way I do. That's the way it's also mashma. It's implied like that in the Shulchan Aruch. But the Shulchan Aruch says you should do seudah shlishit, the third seudah on the Erev Pesach, which comes on Shabbat. You should use matzah shira. Mashma that you have to. It's hamotzi. Anyway, Maran argues with that Rav Ovadia. He says no, it's mezonot. So therefore, he says, you know what? In order to avoid this problem of having to make mezonot on the Shabbat meals, which is not really the best way to do it, so he offers you a different route. What's the route that the rabbi offers you? This is a nice one, right? A lot of people do this, by the way. It's become quite a big fad. Whatever you want to call it, right? A custom, whatever it is. Moda, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the moda? The moda is that the rabbi says what you can do is like this. He has a special essay that he wrote about this, by the way, how to do everything like that. So he says that what you do is you take regular matzot, like the ones you just had now, but from this year. So you take the regular matzot, and maybe you've done this before, by the way, you know, or your mom has done it for you. You know, you put it into an egg batter, and you fry it in a pan.
Sure.
Did your mom ever do that?
We live on that.
Yeah, you know that. Lapta, whatever, you know. Yeah. So what happens is like this, right? If you do like that, and you don't break the matzah, you leave it whole. Don't break it up, you know, like don't make it into farfel. When you break it, it's called farfel. You know? Just leave it whole and fry it like that in an egg batter. You know? And what happens is that once you cook it like that, you fry it, now it loses the taste of the matzah. It's not anymore white matzah. It has a different taste. So therefore you're allowed to have it. Why? Because even though we said you're not allowed to have on Erev Pesach, Erev Pesach, you're not allowed to have matzah, the white matzah, but this is already like cooked matzah. You know, you refried it. So it has a different taste altogether. So since it has a different taste, it's allowed. So therefore, it says the rabbi, what you should do is like this, right? Take a box of matzot, fry it up in eggs on Friday, right? And you're going to use it for Shabbat. This is going to be your bread. This is the way he suggests to do it. So what does that mean? It solves both problems, right? Apparently, right? The chora, both problems that we mentioned. Number one, it's not going to be bezonot. Why? It's going to be hamotzi. Why? Because it's white matzah. It wasn't broken up. It's still whole. So it's hamotzi. You're going to wash your hands. Number one. Number two, also solves the problems. It doesn't have the taste of the white matzah because it was already cooked. It has a different taste. So therefore, you're not going to be transgressing the prohibition of eating matzah on Erev Pesach and Erev Pesach. So therefore, in order to solve that problem, this is what he suggests to do. That's the idea, right? The Rabbi, right? So a lot of people have started to do this. By the way, it's become like quite caught on, especially in Israel. You know, I'm assuming in Israel caught on quite a bit. I'm not really sure what's going on over here so much. What they're doing here, you know, I'm sure that more people over here are opting for the other option, which is to just get rid of all to get rid of all the chametz, and then use one of these, right, as we said, matzah shira, egg matzah, whatever it is. Okay, whatever it is. Anyway, the point is like this, right, that these are several options that a person can do on the Eve of Pesach in order to solve this dilemma, right? So what's the best option, then, Matt? You know, it really depends on, you know, your personality. In other words, if you're a brave man, you know, you're not a scaredy cat, right? Mm-hmm. So then, don't destroy the chametz before Shabbat. Go into Shabbat with chametz. It's okay. Not going to be the end of the world. But you got to pray early, as we said, right? You got to go to binyan early. You got to get home at 8 o'clock, 8:30. Eat your meal. 10 o'clock, you're done. Right? 11 o'clock, you get rid of everything. Flush it down the toilet. And also, right, when you flush it down, you also got to do another thing, right? Which is got to do bitul. What is that bitul? To nullify the chametz. Because there's two things that we do, right? We get rid of it physically. We also verbally nullify it as well. Those are the two things that we do. So this is the way it's got to be done. You got to nullify it. You got to flush it down, and then once it's already 11 o'clock in the morning, all your chametz has to be gone. That's it, right? Down because it's already Erev Pesach. It's already the Eve of Pesach, and chametz is forbidden already. That's the idea, you know. So. But if you do have some chametz left, you know, and you want to keep it for Pesach, not to eat it obviously, right? Just you want to hold it over till Pesach is over. How do you do that? You got to sell it to a goy, right? That's the idea. You know, you got to sell it to a goy. They usually do that in the shul. You know, you come to the shul, and they have like these contracts you sign, and you give it to the rabbi, and he sells it for you. He goes to the bet din and they sell it there. That's the way it's done, you know. Or you can do it also online now, you know. They have it online. You can sell it online. So whatever it is, right? Either way, you gotta. If you're keeping something, and you want to have it like tucked away somewhere on the side, you don't want to get rid of it, so you gotta sell it. That's the only way to do it, right? But even if you are selling it anyway, you do have to do the nullification. And whatever you want to get rid of, so get rid of that, right? Also, right? In other words. Don't keep things that you're not going to use, whatever, you know, after Pesach. Whatever you don't need, get rid of it. That's the way it's got to be done. So this is the way to solve the problem of this particular case that we have this year. Right, this is the only way to do it. So a person has to be a little bit, you know, alert this year. It's not going to be the same thing. Also, as we mentioned before, there's also another issue, which is that we already mentioned that everything is going to be moved up one day because Erev Pesach, Eve Pesach, turns out to be on Shabbat. So that means on Thursday, we got to do Tanit Bechorot, we got to do the fast of the firstborn. So what's done when it comes to that fast of the firstborn? How is it done? The truth is that most people don't fast. Even the firstborns, they don't fast. So how do they get out of it? Did you ever hear about that? So what they do is they do a siyum, a seudat siyum. What does that mean? Somebody finishes some kind of a Torah book, some Gemara, some Bible book or whatever it may be, right? Some book, Torah book, some halachic work, whatever it is. He finishes, and once he finishes that, what he does, he makes a siyum, seudat siyum. So once he makes a seudat siyum, then what happens is that they're allowed to eat. Why? Because it's a seudat mitzvah. It's a mitzvah meal. Because when you finish a Torah book, you're supposed to make like a siyum. You're supposed to make a party, like with a seudah, with a meal. So therefore, the ones who are firstborn, what they do is they come to shul, and the rabbi or somebody else will make a siyum, will finish some book, and they'll do a seudah on that book. That's the way it's done. So what happens is that once you go there, the firstborn goes there, and he hears a siyum that the rabbi makes or whoever it is, somebody makes that siyum. Now he can eat together. They're going to have a meal over there. They're going to eat breakfast over there, a meal, and then whatever. What happens is that when they go home, let's say they want to have lunch as well. So they're allowed to do that too. What does that mean? That even though now it's not a siyum anymore, you're just eating at home and regular, but nevertheless, since this fast is only a custom, so you are allowed to even go home and eat at home afterwards, another meal as well, lunch, whatever it is, right? Why is that? Because it's only a custom, so we're not so medakdek, we're not so particular about that, about this fast. In general, this wouldn't work like that. What does that mean? In general, if you were fasting on a certain day, right, and somebody made a seudat siyum, somebody made a seudah to finish some book, and we got a chance to eat like that, what we would do is we only would have that meal, and we wouldn't let you allowed to have another meal at home, because it's not a part of the siyum, it's not a part of the celebration. So the only way to do it is to come to shul, to do seudat siyum like this, and then all day can eat afterwards. This is the special waiver that we give him. And as we said, right, that Thursday night we're going to do the bedikat chametz, right? Instead of doing it Friday night because it's Shabbat. So Shabbat, we're not going to waste our time with that. We're going to do it Thursday night. So I think get moved up like that to Thursday night. So how do you do bedikat chametz? The way it's done is like this, right? That wherever it's the way to put chametz in that room, maybe once in a while, or even more so if it's always to have chametz in there, so you got to check that room. You got to take a candle, light a candle, and go around in all these places. You don't have to, by the way, extinguish the lights. Some people, they think, let's turn off the electric lights, let's just go with the candle, like a candle in the wind, right? Candle in the dark. You don't have to do that. You can leave the lights on. It's even better that way. Yeah. Just take a candle and look around. Go here. Go into the crevices. Go into the nooks and crannies. Go into all these places, and you got to make sure, right? You check everything. There's no chametz over there. So once you have ascertained that there's no chametz there, then what you do is first, before you start the bedikah, before you start to check, you have to make a blessing. Once you finish, you make a bitul. Right? What does that mean? You say that whatever chametz that I have in my possession, whether I found it or didn't find it, let it become nullified and dust of the earth. Right? That's the idea. Some kind of a thing like this. They say in the Siddur, and if you look in the Siddur, you have the exact wording there. How to do it? The customers say 3 times the bitul. So we nullify. But as we said, right, even though we nullify, we don't get rid of it. Why? Because we still want to keep chametz for Friday, and we still want to keep it for Shabbat as well, as we said. If you're going to be brave enough to have it on Shabbat, that's up to you. That's your decision, right? But the truth is that there's really no reason to be afraid to have chametz on Shabbat, because even though you can't burn it, you can flush it down, as we said. So there's really it's no big deal. But if you're a lazy guy and you're getting up late, so then you may have a problem, because you won't be able to do things on time. You won't have the meal on time, and you won't have also a chance to destroy the chametz on time. Because by the time you get home, it's going to be too late. You have these lazy minyanim, right, coming out 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, even 1 o'clock in some places. Yeah. American style, very, very late. So what happens is that once you get home, already you're not allowed to have chametz. You have to get rid of it. You didn't do nothing yet, so you're behind the 8 ball now, right? You got a big problem. And so this is the way a person has to do it. So that means that what? He's going to have either way, right? Whether on Shabbat he had chametz or he had matzah, as we mentioned, how to do these things. One thing everybody has in common, that the third meal, Shabbat, we have 3 meals, Shalosh Seudot. So the third meal, it's already in the afternoon. So therefore, there's no way, right, no possible way to have chametz at that time, because the only time we're allowed to have chametz is in the morning, before the 4th hour. So therefore, what do you do for the Selash Lishit, for the third meal? How do you do the third meal? Everybody has to do it with what? As we mentioned, right? 2 options. One is to have with matzah ashira, rich matzah, as the Shulchan Aruch says. So what does that mean? That matzah is made not with water. It's kneaded with fruit juice or wine or with eggs, right, or anything like that. Egg matzah, as they call it. So they're gonna have that for the shishit. As we said, we mentioned that according to Maran Ovadia, this is not the best option. Why is that? Because he holds that this matzah is mezonot. So it's not really good. You don't wash your hands. It's weird. Like you're having a meal like a cake, instead of having bread. So that's not the optimal way to do it. Because the truth is that lechatchila, a person should have on the seudot of Shabbat, you shouldn't be using cake for those seudot. You can have it for dessert, no problem. But what I'm saying is to wash your hands and to have cake. This is not the right. Even not to wash your hands, to have cake like that. This is not the best thing to do. So therefore, what you should do, according to Maran Ovadia, as we said, right, you should have those cooked matzot that he fried them in egg batter, right, something like that, or in oil. Right, you can also fry it in oil as well. You can do like a deep fry or whatever, Put it in there. But there's one condition, that if you do this trick, that you fry the matzot in oil, or you fry it with egg batter, the trick is like this, that it has to be whole. Because once it disintegrates, and it gets squashed and broken up, so then the bracha, the blessing changes. What does that mean? That the only way cooked matzah, cooked bread, is going to be hamotzi, is if each one is at least a kazait, olive size, in terms of its size. But if it's less than that, if it's crumbled up into pieces, then the blessing changes to mezonot. Because it's not big enough to be bread. It's not important enough like that. So therefore, the way it works is that you have to leave those whole. But if you do like the Georgians do, make that lapta, you crumble it up, so then it becomes mezonot. It's not hamotzi anymore. Even though they put it together, they lump it up, but even since they were broken, it's already becomes mezonot. So therefore, those laptas that they have, the Georgians, the bracha, the blessing for that is not hamotzi. It's not bread. It's like cake more, So therefore, the blessing is going to be mezonot. Why is that? Because they fry it in oil. That's what they do. They use oil and other stuff. I think eggs also. I don't know, something like that, right? They pick a batter like that and they fry it up. So therefore, the way to do it is to have a whole piece of matzah, and also for lecha mishnah on Shabbat anyway, you're supposed to be blessing on a whole piece, a whole loaf. That's the proper thing to do. You shouldn't using sliced bread to bless on that. So therefore, the proper thing to do, as we said, is to have a whole matzah. And another thing I want to tell you is interesting. I just saw in the Chazon Ovadia, Maran Ovadia, he writes also another interesting thing, which is that on Erev Pesach that falls on Shabbat, matzah shmura. What does that mean, matzah shmura? The matzah which was guarded from the time of reaping, mishata ketzira, which you're supposed to be using for the night of Pesach to do the mitzvah, that's muktzah on Shabbat. What does that mean? You're not allowed to move it. Why is that? Because you're not allowed to eat on Shabbat. It's Erev Pesach. It's a Eid of Pesach. Eid of Pesach, we said you're not allowed to have matzah. This kind of matzah. So therefore, it's a muktzah, you cannot move it. So therefore, you cannot start playing around with that, what do you call it, on Shabbat, moving it around, getting ready, getting it ready, putting it in its place, setting up the table. You can't set the table like that for Pesach on Shabbat. Why is that? Because Shabbat is not supposed to prepare for the holiday, for Yom Tov. You cannot prepare one to the other. So therefore, in order to start setting the table for the Passover Haggadah, you got to wait till Shabbat goes out. What does that mean? According to Geonim, that's like 13 and a half minutes after the sun goes down. So you got to wait till that time, then you can start setting up already, because Shabbat already went out. But before that, you cannot start setting up, because you're doing exertion for the Yom Tov, for the holiday. And also, the matzah shmura, the guarded matzah, is muktzah. So you can't move that either. So you're all very, very limited what you can do for the sake of for the holiday on Shabbat. Like you cannot prepare, you cannot move the matzot, the smura matzah, so you got to wait till Shabbat goes out. That's the way to do it, right? Once Shabbat goes out, then you can start already preparing, and hopefully everything should go on time. Another thing also I want to tell you is that Maran Rabbi, our rabbi, he used to stress that the Leil Pesach, on the eve of Pesach, on the night of Pesach, not the eve of Pesach, the night of Pesach itself, which is going to be Saturday night, Motzi Shabbat, right? That's a very big mitzvah to say Hallel. We're talking about the big Hallel that we say on like the holidays, like on Sukkot, the first day of Sukkot, and also on Hanukkah. You're supposed to say that Hallel also as well. Everybody's supposed to say it. Even the women are supposed to say it. So this is the only time of year that women are obligated to say Hallel. That night of Pesach. What are we talking about? We're not talking about the Hallel which is in the Haggadah. That's already something else. That's a different mitzvah. But there's also a mitzvah, a custom to say the whole big Hallel before they start the Haggadah. So even the women have to do that, right? So the Rabbi, when he used to get home from synagogue, the women were preparing for Pesach, the table and everything. So he would tell them, he would ask them, ladies, did you say Hallel? He would make sure that they said it. Because we say it in the Bet Knesset, we say it in the synagogue. After Avit is finished, we say the big Hallel in synagogue. And what the women have to do is, since most of them are not coming to synagogue, they're getting their table ready and they're everything ready. So what they do is they say it at home. They have to stop for a few minutes, and read the big Hallel. It's considered to be a very big, very holy custom, this custom, right? According to Kabbalah. So therefore, everybody should try to do it. The Sephardim, all the Sephardim, they do it.
Yeah.
And also the Hasidim, they do it. The Ashkenazim, some do, some don't, The Gaon Mevina, who was Ashkenazi, he would very much like this custom. So therefore, he also instituted in his community, they should say it.
Yeah.
So therefore, the best thing to do, as we said, is to make sure you say this Hallel. And then also we're going to say another Hallel, again, in the Haggadah, once, twice, 2 times. There's two pieces of Hallel over there. But those are shorter, different kind of thing. Okay, very good. So I think we got the idea.
I have an important question about Passover. Are you going to watch the 10 Commandments this year?
Oh God. I think that...
it's been on for the past, I think, 70 years. Every Passover on ABC.
Is that true?
Yes.
Wow. No, it's too Hollywood for me, I'm too Hollywood.
That was the golden age of Hollywood.
Yeah, when Hollywood was too Hollywood for me. Anyway, Baruch Adonai Le'olam Amen Amen. Thanks for coming. Be blessed, health, wealth, and happiness, and a lot of V12s with bi-turbo. Laila Tov, all the best.
I see they got a new